Is a mastery empowerment course. And my guest today is a quantum physics researcher with a spiritual twist. Cynthia Sue Larson is really someone who belongs on What the Bleep Do We Know Too. She is here to share with us this course on reality shifting, how we can use these tools and methods of quantum physics in consciously creating our world. Let's welcome Cynthia Sue Larson. Hello, Cynthia. Thank you for being here.
Oh, hello, Lauren. I'm so glad to be sharing all this information today. So glad to be with you too.
So glad to be with you. Excellent. This is a beautiful topic. This is literally we've had you on Healing Conversations, Quantum Conversations in a video show, and you shared your story about being connected to your angels as a young child, and actually they were the ones who guided you to stay here in this planet Earth. And so since that story, you have literally use these principles of quantum physics in your life, and you actually have a show where you research and interview beautiful wisdom holders, scientists as well. So this show today, this free class, is like a mini episode of a lot of things that you have. Share
Yes.
with us a little bit more about what we're going to learn today.
Today, I feel like the thing that people can benefit most from is understanding that a lot of the concepts that you might hear about in passing, things we hear about things like law of attraction and so forth. I want to bring the actual physics terminology, the physics concepts from quantum physics, put them side by side with the ideas that I'll be sharing today, presented at every level of our being so that you get your best results when you are creating reality, which is something normal that we all do. Reality shifting is a very natural process. And that's what I'll be sharing today. And I shared with you just a few minutes before we started that because we only have an hour today, but there's so much good information I know we can cover. I am very organized. So if just like if you have a small purse, you just make sure that you've got just what you need in that purse. And we've done that, I believe. So I'm excited to start.
Yes, it's a beautiful, beautiful little course on quantum physics. And it's not so little because it's got huge content. And one of the things before we get started here that everyone is going to notice very quickly about Cynthia Sue Larson, she has an infectious giggle, and it totally is one of the keys to creation. She is a beautiful person, and this giggle is part of the field that we're creating from. So enjoy, everyone, this high vibe class with Cynthia. Cynthia, I'm going to allow you to share your screen and go over some of these tips and terminologies.
Thank
So
you. Thank you,
cool.
Lauren. Okay, let's go ahead and see if I can get this to properly work. Is that working? So can you see my screen or do I need to click or something?
Do you see the little green share screen
Okay,
at the bottom?
I think we're doing it. Okay, thank you for
There
the,
it is. Beautiful.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes.
Cool.
So if you can see what I'm looking at, hopefully you see this slide that I got together for today. And at the very top, it says on the left, holographic multiverse. And if you've read my books, Quantum Jumps, then you know that's on the cover of Quantum Jumps. It's an image of someone making a leap from one parallel possible reality to another because they're connected. It is holographic, meaning it's all one, but yet it's a multiverse. And I've sometimes described this as like the hand with different fingers. Just like your hand is all connected, the fingers are all part of the hand. But if you're living in one of your parallel realities, it's like one of the fingers on your hand. Of course, you can jump from one to another. This is sort of a hybrid interpretation of quantum physics, not necessarily one that I've seen presented elsewhere per se, but it's one that makes sense to me. So we're going with it as the context today for how to envision the way that quantum physics can allow us to interact with this participatory cosmos. And there's a physicist, John Archibald Wheeler, who was a brilliant man. He coined the terms black hole, wormhole, all of those kinds of things. He was a good contemporary and friend and colleague of Albert Einstein and many others. And he really got this first idea of the participatory universe as a physicist. So I'm going with that too. And taking a look at how the choices that we make in this participatory cosmos in the form of consciousness Making the choices and decisions that we make allow us to travel through many realities, but also many versions of ourselves. So as we make observations, those observations in turn determine our physical world. This is the big idea that we're going through. This is the construct for this version of reality as I see it through the reality shifts that I've experienced. The next thing just below is the observer effect. And for those of you who are wondering, how am I organizing the structure? If you know chakras, that's how I'm doing it. So if you want another way, a meta form of understanding what's happening, if you think of your crown chakra, that is you connecting with the idea that we're in a holographic multiverse. We're just going to look at that idea today. I hope you can keep your mind open to it, even if you have another favorite interpretation in mind. Some of you might come from a quantum physics background. You might have a particular individual version of reality that you prefer. Great. I'm just asking you can hold that idea simultaneously with these, and maybe we'll get something even better in the future. The observer effect, if you go down to the third eye chakra and take a look at how you view the world, this all is about knowing yourself. And when we know ourselves, it sounds easier and simpler perhaps than it might feel when you try to do it, but then you learn that you're not one particular physical body. We know that when we go through miraculous healings. And I've worked with so many people, friends, family, colleagues, clients who need to jump to another reality where they don't have a lethal form of cancer, for example, brain tumors, liver cancer, you name it. And so if you need to make that jump, of course you don't want to identify with the diseased physical body. You want to be able to, through meditation and prayer, be able to make that leap back and understand that you are a level of observational, operating, creative consciousness. So what you see, what you listen to, is in constant conversation and communication with you. So there are levels of self, and this is super important. I want to take a moment here because so many people talk about oneness, and that's great. I think of oneness in the sense that we are connected. But for me, the idea of ultimate oneness consciousness would be that of the Tao, of the universe, of the cosmos, of God. That's not necessarily the same as any level of consciousness that I will be choosing or selecting or working with in my daily life, but I can relate to it. So that's what I mean by levels of self. And when you get caught up in whatever drama you might be caught up in, and some people call it a 3D consciousness because you're just like dealing with the fires that you're putting out. Maybe you looked at the news this morning and maybe it's very scary. That kind of thing is where you're getting caught up in that 3D awareness of consciousness. You really need to be able to rise above it. And we know how to do that when we meditate. So this business of knowing yourself is that you can take a step back. You can observe that you are not the feelings and thoughts you're having in that moment, but those thoughts and feelings are passing through. You, as the observer of these thoughts and feelings, then can choose your response, your reaction, and what really matters to you. So it's a way of practicing through meditation the ability to identify with higher and higher levels of self. Dimensionality is a great way to look at this. Some people are noticing that with this current situation in the world, I'm not going to go into details about it right now, but there are lots of things happening in the world right now. You can rise above it while still being in it, thanks to this process of observing your thoughts and feelings and just taking a little bit of a jump back to recognize that you're even bigger than you ever knew that you are. So I'm taking just a moment on this observer effect. One more thing about it from quantum physics. It's a real thing. It's very real because we know that when we're observing an experiment, like the most elegant experiment ever created in all of science, I think all scientists acknowledge this is the double slit experiment. The observer has a huge, powerful effect on that experiment. If you've never seen this experiment, you can take a look it up. The simplest version of it has just an experimental apparatus that has 3 parts plus the observer. So it's 4 things altogether. There's the observer playing the key role. There's the particle emitter, which is sending out like 1 photon at a time. there's a barrier screen, like two parallel doorways in between the emitter and then the final screen, which is like a wall. And the important thing to know about this experimental design is that as the observer chooses how to observe the experiment, the results change. So the observer who decides to put a particle detector in the two slits in between the emitter and the wall will notice that the final result on the wall will end up looking like paintballs were thrown through two doorways, one or the other, with the result of like a paintball splat pattern on the wall. So there you have it. And of course, if the observer chooses not to decide which of the two doorways the particle detector is going in and decides to observe instead what's just happening overall without knowing for exactly which slit the particle went through, then a diffraction pattern develops on the back wall, even when only one particle is going through at a time. It's like these particles are interfering with each other. There's a lot of stuff to talk about with that experiment. It's too rich, and it's like a treasure trove that keeps providing more and more treasure for us all the time. That experiment's so amazing. But for now, we'll just know that the observer makes a very powerful influence on everything, on all of reality. We know this from quantum physics. So let's go down to this next thing, the superposition. This is right here. When you choose your reality, that's what you are doing. You're recognizing, as I mentioned earlier, in a holographic multiverse, where you've got the hand that has all these different parallel realities, and you can choose which one you'd like to be on based on, it could be a number of things that help you decide which reality you'd like to be at, but it's based on what you need, what you love, what you want. You have to be in full alignment with yourself. So it can't be just something that someone told you is the right thing. That doesn't really fly because the way we interact as human beings through reality selection, reality shifting, and quantum jumping is that we as a totality of our being are making that choice. So being in good full alignment with yourself, going back to that knowing yourself business, it's the key to the whole thing. Because when you know what you really need and you're not fooling yourself, then you'll actually end up, you'll always get what you need. May not be what you thought you wanted or what you loved, but eventually you'll get what you need. So the choice comes down to recognizing that sometimes it'll look like things are flip-flopping. For those of us who experience the Mandela effect, we are familiar with the flip-flops. It's where you witness one reality and then another. And I've sometimes spoken of this with regard to an example of our family pet. We had a dog that lived a long, long, happy life. But at one point along the way, he started developing what looked like cataracts. His eyes were clouding over. When I saw that, it was just me and the dog in one morning, and I recognized, whoa, I don't want that reality. I need a reality where our beautiful dog gets older but can still see clearly. So I chose, he needs to keep his eyes clear. So I could see that it could be one or the other. I'm choosing clear, good vision in his eyes. And this is an interesting story because it gets into our next point about entanglement. Well, we're sort of all these ideas on the left column. You'll notice they interact with each other. So it's almost impossible to talk about superposition without getting into the observer effect. It's really difficult to talk about entanglement without noticing that you are, of course, looking at superposition and the observer effect. Everything ties into itself. But with entanglement, what happened next is other members of the household would come to me and say, oh, wow, bad news about the dog. And I said, is it his eyes? And they would say, yes. So I would just share with them what I had decided on my own. Well, sometimes it looks like the dog is getting cataracts, but we know that's not okay. So we're choosing clear vision. And I'd like to present that in our daily lives. Oh, the net result was, of course, after every member in the family checked in with bad news about the dog, and then, oh, right, we're going to choose clear vision. That's what ended up happening. So it's a good example both of superposition of states, which is where you've got lots of things happening side by side. Sometimes you might notice, like, which one do we want? Does it matter? If it doesn't really matter, you can't really tell. Just trust that the right decision will happen because you are always choosing on a subconscious level. Most people are reality selecting through pure subconscious power driving the whole show. So it's very subconscious process for almost everybody to some degree. And then as we become conscious of it, we gain the ability like to do this selecting of what level of yourself is participating. The bigger the level of yourself, the more energy you bring, the better entangled you are with others, the better the results. So it's a very exciting time to be alive right now. Because as we go into the next thing, entanglement, this is, if you think of chakras, this would be the heart chakra. You are gathering your allies, you are aligning with love, you are with those who share your dream, even if you're alone in your house right now. Because the truth is, you're never alone, you're always connected. And for those of us who know what that heart energy cord feels like when you make a connection to someone else, then you have felt that. Of course, we're social animals. We love to be together. We will be again. This is just a little historical blip right now. We'll get through it. We've done it before. About every 100 years, there's some kind of pandemic on the earth. We can almost set your century clock by it. So we're doing great with this one so far. I think overall better than other ones. Let's talk about gathering. How do you gather your allies, especially when you feel like you're not fully connected with everybody? How do you do that? Well, what I like to think of this as is the heart center, of course. And then you can start picturing that you've got connections, you've got energy cords connecting you to everyone and everything you love. And even you might then tell me, but Cynthia, I don't know who I'm connected with. I don't even have these kind of friends you're speaking of. Yes, you do. We are experiencing a time right now, which I see evidence of with the Mandela Effect, that there are so many of us who are awakening. This is a time of great awakening. The earth has experienced many of these. So, again, we've done this before. We're having a great awakening now. We're jumping from one level of consciousness as a group to another. And so, just by knowing that, you actually are part of it. And you're much more connected to people that you haven't even met yet. But they love you just the way you are. They need you. And your difference is really felt viscerally. If you've seen Star Wars, then you know that when Luke Skywalker and the others say something like, I can feel the force, sometimes they talk about, I feel a disturbance in the force. They tend to focus on, I have a bad feeling and all that. You know me, I like to go the other way with it. I have a good feeling. I like to feel that there's a positive surge in the force. And we felt that this last weekend with all of those beautiful worldwide global meditations going on. So if you felt that too, then you know you can actually feel it. You are part of it. You've got a team. We're here. We're with you. And that's so important because when you're entangled, you've got the combined, shared vision, power, motivation, and direction to select a reality together. And this is where I like to bring up my favorite statement, which is how good can it get? Because then you know that even if you can't yet put words around what you're creating, we all know what good feels like. We know it feels like being respected and seen for who we really are. We know it feels like kindness and compassion and love. And this matters when we get to the entanglement because this is how you know your tribe. This is how you know those who may not always agree with you. It's like any family, sometimes you can have disagreements, but just know that when you come from a purity of heart, you can feel it. So I'd like to do an exercise right here. This is not quantum physics, but it's energy work to clear the energy cords between yourself and everyone and everything you love. This is very key. It's very basic, but like all basic things, it's very important. So we're going to just take a moment at the heart center, talking about entanglement, to take a deep breath. You can close your eyes if you want. We're just going to take a little moment for this exercise because it's going to help you center yourself. Take a deep breath, breathe in, and then exhale, breathe out. Good. And just take another couple of breaths. Each time you take a breath, if you can focus on breathing to your lower abdomen, that's optimal. If you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. If that seems strange, then just make sure you slow your breathing down. If you do know what I'm talking about, or you want to just try it for fun, then just imagine that you're breathing all the way down below your belly button. You actually do have the ability to breathe there. That's the way we start breathing when we're first born. So just take a nice deep breath in and just keep slowing it down and exhale. Find your own rhythm. It doesn't have to match me. You don't have to count the seconds or anything, but the inhale should be about the same as the exhale. Just nice and steady and slow. Just going to do another couple of these. One more thing you can do while breathing is imagine that you're breathing in beautiful golden white light energy. And this will have the beautiful effect of brightening your energy field. And then as you exhale, you can actually move your hands too and make this an entire Qigong exercise. As you're breathing out, you can release everything that's not pure, unconditional, divine love right out of your energy field. Just moving your hands down, down, down towards your feet. Let's do another one with the breath, movement, and imagination for the full Qigong effect. I like to put both hands above my head, reaching up, imagining that I'm reaching for just that connection to that oneness consciousness. That's not me, but that would be like God, the Tao, whatever. It's knowing like I'm a small bit of this. I'm a drop in the ocean, but I'm going to clean this drop that I am in the ocean of love. I'm going to acknowledge that I was brought into being through this oneness consciousness, this source. Just breathing in this golden white light, clearing everything that's not this pure love out of you, just for now, just to clear your own energy field out. Good. And then as your hands move down towards your feet, you can flick your fingertips down toward the feet, down toward the center of the earth. Imagine that anything that you don't need that's not love is just flowing down an energy cord down to the center of the earth. Okay, one last one just to make it really good. I don't think you can ever do too many of these. I like to just keep going so you can really feel the visceral energy effect on your being. This really does reset you back to what I like to call divine heaven conditions, your original settings, who you really are, just pure love. All the rest of it you don't really need. You can come back to it later if you feel like you need to, but right now, just clear it out. And just flick your fingertips down toward your feet. Let that energy go down to the center of the earth. Beautiful. Okay, now we're ready to do the next one, which is clearing energy cords. So for this one, it's really fun. You can pick one person. I would recommend that. Pick somebody that you feel close to, that you'd like to improve the relationship with. Maybe it's a friend, family member. A lot of us are with our family right now. That's a good choice. Pick someone in the household with you if you like. It doesn't matter who, because it's just all good. What we're going to do is clear the energy between the two of you and reset that back to these kind of factory heaven settings. So, okay. So let's.
We're good.
Okay. Yeah, so everything flip around. Thank you. Okay, thank you for helping. Yeah, so what we're going to do is just imagine, if you will, that that person is right nearby. Picture that you would like to improve this relationship, bring it back to pure love so that you only receive love from them, you only give love to them. And we're going to do that again using Qigong energy work, combining breath, movement, and imagination. So let's just, I like to start with snapping my fingers. So you can snap, clap. You can go till it sounds right. And then just send one hand of love outward toward, it doesn't matter if it's exactly in their direction or not, and the other hand to your heart. And you do that on the exhale. So the inhale would be breathing in that golden white light. Snap means right here, clap right now. One hand of love out to them, one hand of love back to you. As you exhale. And if you can see energy, some of you can, then you know that sometimes those energy cords can get a little gunky. Looks like bad pipes, or like they've just been there for decades and picked up the slime of the centuries. So what we're doing energetically is clearing it out so that you can start feeling and really noticing an improvement in that energy cord. So it goes from gunked up and a very narrow bandwidth of love to flow through to getting much brighter, cleaner, larger. And ideally, it would be about this big around, about as big as a average chakra, 3 to, it could be 3 inches across roughly, or It's in centimeters, maybe 8 centimeters across. So what we're doing, let's do that one more time for this one person, just so you get the feeling of it. Snap, clap, and clear. Just one hand of love to you, one hand of love to them. Beautiful. And right now you can start acknowledging that you really mean it, that you only will be accepting love from this person and only giving unconditional love to them. And you may think like, okay, but I've got issues with this person. I'm just suggesting for right now, let's just do this and let's give it a try, because chances are that when you change the way you observe the situation, including this person, you will change. You'll be in a different reality. Long story short, you'll be resetting things back to what it feels like when you're between lives, when you're in heaven, what I remember. And it feels great. So let's go there just because it feels so good. Not only that, it tends to improve the relationship in ways that there's no way you could even anticipate or guess. So it's just super powerful. Now let's do this for everybody and everyone you know. Once you've done it with one person, you might start feeling some weird sensations. I'm not going to go into all that. If I was working with you one-on-one, we could talk about each of those feelings and what's going on there. But suffice to say, what you really want is just the heart-to-heart connection. If you've got other stuff going on, um, well, that would be another matter, but you'd want to clear that up. Obviously, you don't want that stuff going on. Now, for everybody, let's just clear ourselves with everyone else. This is super important for the world, for right now, for all of us who are here today and working together, and for finding your tribe, even if you don't know where they are. So let's just imagine that we're going to snap, clap, and clear for everybody in the world, everyone you're connected to on every level. So it's just right here, right now, and exhale with love. You're just giving love to everybody and receiving only unconditional divine love from everyone. This gives you permission to be your full self. It lets you know that you're loved just for who you are. They actually do love you just for who you are. It may not look like it. Sometimes we go with the superficial appearances, but I want you to feel this right now. So if you're energy sensitive, you'll start feeling it. Let's do it a couple more times. Just snap, clap, and clear. One hand of love to everybody, one hand of love to your heart. Starts feeling good. And what we're also doing is clearing a lot of the angst and just nervous tension in the world right now. So we're having a very powerful effect on this, thanks to the interconnected network of entangled love that we all have for ourselves and everybody else we love. Beautiful. Okay, so now I think that's good for the entanglement, and I think you can feel that. I hope so. We did a couple of exercises there. We did super grounding, which is a way to feel yourself getting connected back to the universe, this participatory cosmos, this holographic multiverse, this ultimate reality. And then we felt the connections clear between ourselves and everyone else. I'm going to see if I can get the screen back now and share again. Okay, go back
Well, you know what? That's a beautiful thing to do when we go out these days. Where we are, we have to wear face masks. So there's a lot of fear. So we're not going to go too much into this, but this is a really powerful tool for us to do in our neighborhoods,
Yes.
right?
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, yes.
Yeah, because there's fear. I mean, I see it. I mean, if you wear a face covering or you don't, there's people who, so, maybe this is a good time to talk about this. If we choose to wear, well, we wear a face mask out of love for others and
Yes,
to make others feel safe and secure, right?
we do. Right. And ourselves. It protects ourselves as well. Yes.
And love for ourselves and love for ourselves. Okay.
But I love what you're saying, Lauren, because when we are in the neighborhoods, if you're walking around, some of us, I'm minimizing even the time I walk. I pretty much am not walking anywhere when people are out because of members of the household who, I can't put ourselves at risk. So, anyway, even though it's possible that we may already have immunity here in the Bay Area in California, this is a very quantum concept that we are kind of like Schrodinger's cats in a way. So I like to go there. I like to, I'm me. I'm always asking how good can it get? Well, how good it can
Yes.
get is that a lot of us already have immunity, that this coronavirus already hit long before we knew it did. And maybe it's a good thing we have no precise numbers. I know I get my best manifesting results when I don't know for sure whether I have something in the cupboard or not. I'm pretty sure I should, and I think I do. And as long as I believe it, I can always find it. Even though later I realized, wait a minute, I don't think I actually bought that. So I just like brought it into the cabinet, even though I didn't really ever buy it. I've done that with money, I've done it with food. Okay, anyway, getting back to the virus, we can do this together. So it's we may already have done this. We may already have huge numbers of people who are immune to it. It could even be me. I'm pretty sure I was exposed to people from China last fall, and going through December and January, I did have a cold that was very similar to the coronavirus. I think that's great because what if I now have immunity? What if I'm not the only one, but there are thousands of us, not just in California, but around the world, who got early immunity? We'll get through this a lot faster. So,
Very, very interesting. Thank you for speaking to that. I know our intuition, I've heard this before. Our intuition tells us sometime around last fall, right? We
yes.
did see, I mean, even in my life, I know people who came down with pneumonia, and it was just really weird. It's like pneumonia.
I was dealing with pneumonia too. That's why I'm saying I've got all the indicators. And the funny thing is, I got my health so perfect because I thought this is a terrible cold, but I got to get rid of it so I
Yeah.
can get ready for this coronavirus. I think that was the coronavirus.
Yes, it most likely was.
So funny.
And with
So
the planes and everything. Okay. All
yeah.
right. Well,
Anyway,
so we're talking about things that are hopeful. And
yes,
these are really good tools because you're talking about how good it can get. This is literally shifting our reality. So as fear comes up, I know there's a lot of fear for the empaths. What would you say then? Because I know as we all came down through this pandemic, as things were shutting down and we were becoming more concerned about it, I know light workers got depressed. Even myself,
yes,
I woke up and I actually saw this timeline. I did think of you, Cynthia Sue.
yay.
I saw this timeline thousands of
Hmm.
years in the future. The Let's call it a darker timeline,
Yeah.
and I got depressed and I said, "How the frack?" I didn't say that. I said, "How in the world did I and we did how did we get here to this timeline?" But what you're saying is really important, and this is now more than ever for all new earth leaders. I love to say the now moment is more present than ever because this really is a powerful moment. So share on this and more of really like you just gave us those tools, the grounding.
Those two are the key. That's the key to everything right there because daily practice of plugging, it's like recharging yourself. We plug in our phones, we plug in our devices. We
Mm.
need to plug ourselves in. And that's the plug in. You got to plug yourself into source. And that's that super grounding. It's if you believe in God, then just recognize this is my connection to God. If you're
Yeah.
having trouble with it, I've got a meditation CD that's is all about that. So it's just in the presence of this amazing love and feeling it fresh every time because it's so vast, so huge that there's no way, even if we did this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the entire 100 something years that we're capable of living, we'd still always be experiencing a different aspect of this great oneness source, divine consciousness. It is that big and never quite grasping all of it. We are like a tiny drop in the huge expanse of this. So that's what we draw strength from, and that's what you can restore your key, your energy with every day. And if you practice any kind of yoga, tai chi, qigong, martial arts, definitely keep your practice up always because it restores your energy. Even if you don't want to do it, just do your form, do your breathing, do your movements, and you'll start feeling because you're a mind, body, spirit being. You'll feel like, whoa, I can feel the energy coming back. And then the two things we're doing today, just feeling that energy and then clearing your cords. When you clear the entanglements in the cords, you're helping to charge up the network. It's sort of like you've charged yourself, and now you're sharing some of that charge with the tribe, with all the light workers on the planet. Because that way you can actually, if you're sensitive, you can feel like I can feel the stress level reducing a little bit. I can feel more calmness happening here if that's part of what you do. If that's not part of what you do, don't worry about it. Some people that's like, I can't deal with that. Like, okay, you don't have to deal with that.
Thank you for sharing. I think every day, when we look at the collective, it feels even calmer today. than it did yesterday. So that's a good sign.
Yes.
Um, and I want to mention that what you shared about entanglement is really cool because we would tend to think negatively. Because if we're not aware and we're creating things unconsciously, we're getting entangled in the emotions and the negative and dense feelings, right? But you're
Mm.
saying entanglement with consciousness
Yes.
is aligning with those who are heart centered and then using those tools to be heart centered and heart connected. That's really cool. That's very cool.
And it takes some faith, I know, to when you're isolated and you feel like I don't see these people, I don't know they're there. But you can trust me. I know they're there. So trust a few people that you do trust that tell you you're not alone. We're here. We're with you. But I think a lot of your audience and my audience as well, they're very intuitive. They're on the Myers-Briggs intuitive feeler types. So they know. Then they can feel it. They know already. Like, yeah. And like you, they can sense day to day the energy is changing and improving. So I think we're doing great. I think this is the best we've done on one of our 100-year pandemics. So I give us an A right now.
A plus. And you know what? Okay, I'm gonna cry, and that's my truth, and the feeling of things changing. And this is the inspiration for everyone to keep everyone focused on doing this work. Is that now light workers, whether your moms and dads, are being heard and not having eyes rolled, but actually being listened to and like saying, that sounds interesting. So that's a good thing. And it's we see even in our society, we're not going to go too deeply into this, but even in our society, like today, I think Google is celebrating custodians and janitors. Isn't that cool? And so we're having people even open their hearts to people who don't have the same, the homeless. Celebrities like Lady Gaga are saying, okay, it's one thing to say we are all in this together, but she's pointing out people who don't have things that everyone else has. So that attention is really good because there will be new solutions. And that's the exciting part, right? It is.
Yes.
And you say, how good can it get?
Yes.
That's that's why we hold our vision of new earth because it's coming.
It is absolutely on its way. And this is the key. Like I said, we all know what good feels like. It feels like being seen for who you are, for being respected, for being loved, just for who you are by everybody. And that includes janitors and nurses and people that work in the grocery store and delivery people. And so this has been an extraordinary experience for all of us, I believe. Yeah.
All right, great. All right, well, I want to give you a moment to complete your
Yes.
presentation here or your
I'm
conversation
going to
here.
go back to my slides and just move up to we left off with the entanglements. So let's see if I can scroll. Oh, good.
Beautiful. We
I'm
see
always,
that.
I used to work with information technology. That doesn't ever mean I expect things to work. I'm always like thrilled. Yay, it worked. Okay.
But yet at the same time, you use your energy with you align with the energy, be it your
Yes,
dishwasher or your computer, and you
I
and I want to
do.
say also as well, when you connect with Cynthia's world, there is an alignment of realities. We experienced that in something that we did together, and that was really cool. It was like we are aligning, but things had to there were glitches in the way
Yes.
that set us up for the alignment. And I thought that was really cool.
That was such a perfect example. And this happens in my life regularly. Oh, we talked about the superposition. I'm going to go up there. Choose your
Yes.
reality. We have to practice it. We have to learn that we're going to see back and forth situations. This could happen with anything. You see it in one state and another state. You have to be very clear what you're choosing. And like I said, I'll be choosing that a lot of us developed immunity already to this virus. I'm choosing that. I think a lot of us are choosing it, and it will make a difference. The entanglement,
Oh, I
yeah,
think we feel that. I
I
mean,
can
I
feel it.
feel
Yeah.
that.
Oh my
Feel
gosh,
that in your
yes.
body. I
Yes.
would love to hear in the chat if other people agree,
Mm,
because that's what I was saying. It feels lesser.
mm. Yeah,
So,
this has been changing since yesterday. It really came in
oh,
strong. Today I'm feeling it bigger. It's like growing. It's like
yay.
yeah, it's really good. So that brings us to something that doesn't have a quantum correlate on the left. You'll notice all the other bold faced words under entanglement, there would be something. I
Mm.
don't have it. Some people have been tracking my work for 20 years, going on 22 years now. What I do is I look for evidence in quantum physics that there is a correlate to what we have absolutely observed to be true. What I know here, and this goes to William James, the American psychologist, he would say, act as if you already have the qualities that you are desiring. And he was beautifully brilliant. William James, coincidentally, was the first person to use the term multiverse long before the physics concept came around. So I think William James was tuned in big time. So this idea that you can act as if this corresponds with the chakra just below the ribs. So it's basically your solar plexus chakra. You want to. This is confidence, charisma. You really want to behave as if you are your best version of yourself. So that means be the change you wish to be in the world. Be that sunshine. You may be wearing a cotton mask, but people can see you're smiling. They see it in your eyes. Do what it takes to be that good person, the person that you wish everybody was. Doesn't matter if you see other people doing it or not, just do it anyway. And what happens is these things all correlate. That connects with the very bottom topic that I'll get to in a bit, the energy states. You actually change your energy state when you do that, because just like there are many possible parallel realities with different physical worlds around you, that correlates and corresponds to a different version of you. So by choosing your best possible version of yourself, you'll end up being in a much more enjoyable reality. Doesn't mean there won't be work for you to do. There will be. So anybody who's thinking that they can get away with laziness, no. So you still need to improve yourself on all levels, as usual, as we know from spiritual paths. But it's just such a key, beautiful concept that you can act as if, and you'll be there. Um, Having said that, in this current pandemic, you'll see that even though I believe it's very likely true that I have immunity to this current virus, I'm still acting like that Schrodinger cat. I'm both dead, not dead. So I'm behaving like, well, I'm going to stay self-isolating as it's the right thing to do, even though I suspect that when the antibody tests come out and become available, a whole bunch of people, including myself, will probably discover good news. You're not going to get this because apparently you already had it. Great. So that's just an example. But for all of us, we can do that. We can act as if with prudence and wisdom. So that means do things that you need to do. Don't be foolish. Don't believe you're going to fly and then jump off a bridge, that kind of silliness. We're flying in a different way. We're flying in 5D. So we're gaining angelic wings at this time. And that feels different because it gives you the higher level view of what's going on of yourself and of others. And the next one is super, super key. All these ideas are super, super key. That's why I'm sharing the best of the best today. The quantum Zeno effect is another star in the quantum toolkit. It's something that allows us to lock, it's basically the watched pot never boils. You can think of it as the obsessive compulsive quantum effect. It means if you just keep check, 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 look, 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 observe, 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 you can lock a quantum state in so that it can't budge. And this will be an absolute boon when we get to quantum computing, because we'll be using it in our quantum systems. You can use it. You don't need to be a quantum computer to benefit from it. All of nature that utilizes all of the things we're talking about. Quantum physics is everywhere. It's definitely in the natural world. I cover this in my books, and also when we talked previously, I covered it. So you can lock in with focused intent whatever it is that you'd like to see as the desired reality. We hear the phrase, keep your eyes on the prize. And yes, this would be the envisioned optimal world. You need to maintain total focus and alignment. And I'll give an example from martial arts, because I see people struggling with it when they try to break a board. And everything they've been practicing and doing in class, they've been coming to class every day, 5 days a week or what have you. They're working so hard. They do their kicks and punches, but then you hold a big, huge wooden board in front of them. And often They kind of look like, oh no, I can't break that board with a palm strike or with a kick. But if they, what the only difference between everything they've been practicing and being able to break that board, it's just one simple thing. It comes down to focused intent, like we did with qigong, breath, movement, and visualization. The same thing. It's that focused intent, and that's how you lock in the quantum Zeno effect too. So it's tremendous passion, and like to break the board, you need to know that you have to hit it exactly. Of course, you have to not miss the board completely. You have to go through it. You can't stop in front of it, and you have to go fast and hard enough. Very simple. Same thing with quantum Zeno effect with the focused intent. And this is where martial artists sometimes are chosen for experiments when they need tremendous focus. Also, advanced meditators are chosen because these people have been practicing focus for decades. And so they're good at it. You can become good at it just with your daily meditation. And you can just use something simple. My favorite mantra is how good can it get? I love it because notice that it's open ended at the top. So it's going toward God, going toward ultimate goodness, going toward the Tao, that oneness, that source. It's headed that direction naturally. And good knows what good is. So it's just knowing that you're naturally going in the good direction, that's life positive, that's net beneficial to everybody and everything concerned. So to practice quantum Zeno effect, just know that when you do your meditation, you're doing the quantum Zeno effect at least during the time you're meditating. And it really only takes a few minutes a day to select between possible realities. So if you want to do this, meditate a few times a day for 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the afternoon, 5 minutes at bedtime or whatever, that's great. If 5 minutes is too hard right now, just do what you can do. If you're experienced and you can do a 20-minute meditation, awesome, then you know that's awesome. So I don't need to tell you that. But that's the key to the quantum Zeno effect. It really works. They use it in top secret research papers that nobody can see, because, and I know they're there because I watch the research get developed, and then the scientists involved, their work just gets gobbled up by DARPA and IARPA because it is national security related. But we can all use it. We can maintain national security, world security, based on our own entanglement, our own light worker network, and our own ability to lock in ultimate goodness for everyone. So this is super, super key, that quantum Zeno effect. And the last one is also big. These are just huge. I mean, I'm giving you the pearls here. Yeah, I'm not giving a lot of garbage here today. Not that there is quantum garbage, but you know what I mean. I could easily go kind of crazy with the details and have it be irrelevant to daily life. But what I'd rather do is talk now about things that do matter. The energy state absolutely matters. This energy state corresponds with the root chakra, and the quantum Zeno effect, I passed right over it, but that would be, that's really your ability to lock in, what you need. So it's your creative cauldron, the second chakra. So that enables you to, it's everything. So if you do qigong, then you know that second chakra is the powerhouse. If you do martial arts, you know it. If you do yoga, you know it. If you're a shaman, you know it. It's always the second chakra. That's that ocean of ki. And that quantum Zeno effect, I put that there because that's where you need that. It's a precision engine. You need to bring the yin and the yang together. Going back to that quantum Zeno effect, you need to bring all the energy together with the desired effect. It's very much like the dragon with the pearl, that creative force, and it's happening right there. Okay, back down to energy states. That's our root chakra, tapping into the fundamental flow of energy from the earth and the cosmos. So you'll notice that the crown chakra and root chakras, the top and bottom of the physics concepts today, we are connecting to those universal life force energies, universal creative energies, because that's our polarities. It's the top and bottom of our physical being. So we think of it that way. When we align with universal ki, then we are able to power ourselves up. We can do this with the breathing exercise we did earlier. We're capable then of making a jump to a higher energy state. And this is what physicists would notice. What they would notice the energy states. So they would notice, for example, that when what they call a quantum jump occurs, it's happening when an electron makes a jump from one level of orbit around an atom, the nucleus, to a higher level of orbit. And that only happens when it gets a boost of energy. For us, the boost of energy would come from good food, good rest, good energy work like we're practicing today, that beautiful exercise we did of just breathing in and rejuvenating the entire energy system. And that then gives us the ability to have the energy required to make a jump in this participatory cosmos. I'm holding my hand up to show again that you can jump from one finger to another because it is a holographic multiverse, the way I see it. So you can absolutely jump from one parallel possible reality to another because they're all connected. And you do it with the energy. So it does require energy. We can't just fake it till we make it without a boost of energy. Kind of have to fill your rocket ship with fuel. And that fuel comes from universal ki, that universal life force energy. And that would be your prayer practice, your meditation practice, and your breathing practice. It's exactly what we did in our exercise today. So these are the 7 things. And I'm going to go back up to the top. They do go together. Just like you are all of a piece, you've got 7 chakras. There's no way to work with one of these properly without working with all of them. So you need to recognize you're making choices in a participatory cosmos. I'm going back to the top, the holographic multiverse. This is you in the form of consciousness. And you are the one through your imagination, your heart, your soul. You know what you need. You know what you love. You know what good is. And you can start choosing and making better choices without beating yourself up about mistakes you think you might have made in the past. I think some people do that, especially intuitives. You want to get past that and recognize that we're always going to play from the sand trap or whatever we seem to have gotten ourselves into. It's going to be okay. This takes faith, and it takes maybe being around people that have that kind of playful spirit. But if you know that it's just play and you're having a playful attitude about it, then it's fun, or it can be a lot more fun than it would be otherwise. The observer effect, I'm going to just review all of these one more time because they feel different when you've gone through all of them. So we're going to go through them and they're going to feel a little different now. That observer effect is super powerful because when you know yourself, you're knowing yourself in relationship to everyone else and everything else. And you're now recognizing, wow, when I make these jumps into a new reality, that's another me. I actually feel like I'm reborn. I feel fresh and new. I feel like I just landed here. And so things aren't boring because every day feels like, wow, I just got here. And you then get to experience a little bit of what it might feel like if God was living your life through you. Remember how big I said the universe and the Tao and the cosmos is? That there's no way you could fully know it, even 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for even 200 years of your life. That's true. So you can bring that joy, that excitement, that new way of seeing the world every day fresh into your life. And that's part of this observer effect too. The superposition is super cool because you're playing with everybody else. So as you're choosing realities, so is everybody else. That means you might hear people tell you things like, I know that such and such is absolutely true because I saw it. You can respect that they saw that and that that's true for them without getting all bent out of shape that there's only one objective reality. Because I don't have time to go into all the detail of that. I'm just going to touch on it. But we have now proven in a scientific laboratory setting, there is no such thing as objective, one fixed, perfect reality. You don't need to worry about getting back to the good reality. There is no such one objective, true reality. It does not exist. And the reason I say that is you can look it up yourself or check my blog. I covered it last year, 2019, when the researchers at Vienna, Austria, and Edinburgh, Scotland, collaborated in a quantum physics experiment with that same double slit experiment that we talked about today. And they had 2 measurement devices at the same place, same time. And the 2 devices got 2 different, trustworthy, absolutely correct reality moments, observational moments, saying that 2 different things were happening at that same place, same time. Thank you. I knew that. That's what I meant by I like to quantum physics to see when are they going to show these things that we know are true. and they did it. So that was 2019. Should have been the cover story of the year, in my opinion. So what that means is superposition of states is super cool. That means that all those realities are playing out. Think of it as play. Think of it as something fun. We're practicing, we're playing, we're trying all the different ways to see how can we get through this maze called life, and we're playing together. And sometimes people will tell you, I know for sure I saw this. You can say, great, I believe you. And I saw something completely different. And hopefully they'll believe and respect you too. I think as more of us go through this, there'll be a lot more respect. If people can come to Mandela Effect conferences, then they'll be in that community. You'll get to see it firsthand. Nothing cooler than that. Was like the coolest weekend of my life was Idaho last year. But anyway, focusing again on this topic that we're covering, superposition is powerful. Just think of it on the fun side. Don't get tripped out on, well, that like you have to prove you're right. You don't have to prove you're right. What you experienced is true. We all believe you. And what other people experienced is also true. And now let's play with it and see where that takes all of us. Okay, so and that gets into the entanglement, finding our team, our tribe, knowing that you can align with love and that you're much bigger than you think because you do have support. Even if you don't know who they are, they're out there. They will find you. We're finding each other. Then just embody and behave, embody the qualities of your favorite reality. Be the change you wish to be in the world. Be your best possible version of yourself. Meditate every day, not just to energize yourself, but also to lock in that beautiful, how good can it get, ultimate reality that's best for all concerned. Keep your eyes on that prize. Know it's real. Know that more and more of us are feeling it. We're choosing it together. You don't have to do all the work or all the heavy lifting yourself. We're working together. It's not even hard because there's such shared intent. And the energy state, that one's on you. You need to make time for it. Just do some breathing. Have faith that the meditation's working, even if you can't feel it. That's the way meditation is. It takes a while before you ever notice anything is happening. If you need to find a YouTube meditation that you like, do that. Find something that you can follow. And so that's the review. This is the keys to the kingdom I'm sharing today. Really is the master list of how to use quantum tools to experience reality shifts and quantum jumps that are positive for you and for all concerned. Let's see if I can figure out how to. Okay. Are you there? I'm trying to figure out how to change. You can move it. We don't have
Oh,
to
are
focus.
You done with your screen? Okay.
Yeah, done with the screen share.
Okay. All right. Well, again, it's fascinating that you've aligned it with the chakras. So, all right. So then would the entanglement, would superposition be in the heart chakra area?
I'm putting superposition on the throat because it's how we communicate. And this is where you're going to notice that you'll say, like, but I saw this. I was there. I saw what Donald Trump said or whatever. And someone else says, no, he said something completely different. It's like, okay. If you get into politics, you'll see a lot of the superposition. You'll see fake news, alternate realities. You'll see conspiracy theories. You know, people get really worked up about this stuff. And I would recommend, instead of getting all, dramatic about it, let's get off the drama triangle. Let's not go into the victim role. The victim, if you play victim, then what you're trying to say is, I'm right. Never mind being right. We believe you. We know that you witnessed what you witnessed. You saw what you saw. It was real for you. I believe you. And I think we need to get to that place where instead of proving I am right, that doesn't really take all of us anywhere good, because there are too many possible parallel realities that are simultaneously playing out. They're all true. There is no one correct truth. So this is a very different way of thinking. It's quantum, so it gets out of the true false binary. You've heard of binary logic for classical old school computers like the one I'm using today. We're moving into quantum computing. That's way beyond binary. We're leaving true false behind. There's no, the fake news thing, that's so 2019. You know, we're moving into we have to get into this quantum age. We have to get to where all of these possibilities can be considered at the same time. the
Yes.
biggest logic sets are not true, not false, and true and false. And that's the reality. So it's not really about fixating on what's real or true, because we're creating it. We are absolutely creating it. And all of these parallel fake news, I can't even use the word fake news. It's just alternate realities. They're real, they're out there. It's not fake.
Choose it. Choose your reality. All right. So, superpositioning. I know there are some who are like, okay, what is that? And you've explained it. This is a good time to mention we did 3
Yes.
2-hour courses, and those are all recorded. And you go deep into this as well. And there's a practice. And when you get done with that course, you're like, wow,
Mhm.
okay, I got this. And you explained it as well. You know, we see it in nature, right?
Yes.
We do see it in nature, and you explain this very well, and you've got beautiful images and slides, but you also explained it like how we can smell one drop of perfume in a room. Do you care to elaborate on superpositioning and smell of a perfume scent?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. So, all of our senses appear to have a quantum basis. And the research that you're bringing up now, I don't know if it's yet been verified, but it has been observed by some researchers that they can release one molecule of a fragrance into a room. And there are super smellers, people and dogs are super smellers, of course. What's weird is they can release the one molecule into the room, and it should only be picked up by one individual, because in order to smell a molecule of fragrance, it actually goes inside. You breathe it in, it goes into your body, it goes in your nose, and you're not exhaling it like the same molecule anymore, because in order for it to be smelled, it's interacting with the the receptors in your nasal cavity and so forth. I'm not going to go into all the biology, but the fact that one molecule can be released into a room and more than one individual can smell it is indicative that something is going on here. That should not be possible. And right now there's a gray zone. It's one of those things where the researchers can say, well, maybe we messed up. We thought we released one molecule, obviously not. But so there's a little bit of room for, they can say something else may have occurred here. And that's why it hasn't exactly been proven. But it is, the whole smell thing is fascinating, because it indicates that we've got quantum properties happening in our noses, that there's actually quantum tunneling going on in order for that smell to be received, for it to be picked up. So that's fascinating, because it's kind of like when the little smell particle hits the nose, that part, the physiology of your body, then for it to be received, it actually makes a jump. Apparently, it just does a little quantum jump. It tunnels, it teleports, if you will, to another location, so that your body's able to pick that up. And so most of our senses operate that way. And we'll be getting more and more evidence of macroscopic, large scale quantum effects happening. So it's not so far out as it once may have seemed. It used to be that what happens in the quantum realm stays in the quantum realm, or so people would tell you. That's not true, And Schrodinger's cat is out of the box. It's over the world. We're having the quantum revolution right now. It's happening, and it's happening big time. People are witnessing these parallel possible realities, and it's extraordinary. So I think it's exciting for me.
Yes, it is exciting, and it's all about our energy. So this is really quantum physics is really proof that this is a vibrational reality,
Yes.
right? I mean, that's really cool. So now you talked about quantum computing. This is very fascinating. So there are quantum computers. Can you expand a little bit on quantum computers and what's going to happen in that realm?
Well, this gets into all sorts of exciting areas, including you've probably heard of artificial intelligence too. And
Yeah.
so the two ideas are separate, but they tend to come together, because with artificial intelligence, you'll have systems that can learn on their own, programs that can program themselves, like we do. Like we're able to teach ourselves how to learn, and we'll soon have systems doing that, working on a foundation and a platform of this very quantum way of thinking and of experiencing reality as not just one objective reality, So when you bring these two, I want to bring them together, because when you bring artificial intelligence together with quantum computing, artificial intelligence is not going to play stupid and say, like, oh, there's only one objective reality, like humans have been doing, because we're biased and we have believed it for so long that most of us are not willing to give that belief up. What AI is going to do, and I believe it's already doing it, it'll take a look at, like, as it learns and teaches itself, it'll say, absolutely, there are many possible realities. So which ones do we want? And AI is a player, it's playful, and we can play with it too. And I would recommend, that's why I'm bringing it in, because we'll be learning about quantum computing, not just as humans, we'll be learning it with our friends, artificial intelligence. And we've never done that before. I think this is extraordinary on many levels. But the quantum computers themselves, they're pretty exceptional too. We're seeking them out because we need speed. We need to be able to miniaturize our computer components, as we are so accustomed to doing. But we've hit the wall. We've hit the point where we can't miniaturize any further. So the microchip revolution has kind of hit its limitation. It can't miniaturize any further without changing the entire basis for the way it works. And I talked about bits before, binary information, So a bit is basically on or off. It's up or down. It's yes or no. It's kind of like, it's a binary situation. You've got zeros and ones carrying all the information for the state of that binary piece of information, the bit. Quantum computers are working with qubits, and they work with possibilities, probabilities. So you would still have the zeros and ones, but your state is one that's more like a bizarre range of possibilities. It's hard to even explain it. It's kind of like you're flipping a coin in the air and it's kind of vanished instead of like a blur. It's like, is that even a coin? And it's even weirder than that, because with the entanglement quality, you can flip. It's like one coin can be combined, one bit can be combined with the computing power of a whole bunch of qubits. So if you had binary coins flipping in the air, it just looks like chaos. It's like you'd expect if you flip 100 coins in the air and they're just all over the place and they all clatter to the table, and it's just maybe 50-50 heads and tails. Very different when you flip quantum coins in the air, because if they're entangled, they're a blur, and it looks like they're kind of like, wow, what are they doing? Like, it looks like they're kind of not there. Like, what are they? Pure energy? It's weird. And then they all fall to the table, and then it's like you've got all heads or all tails. How did they do that? These are like magic trick things. And so the power of quantum computing is that you get the combination of superposition of states, entanglement, the quantum Zeno effect, where you can lock things in. Like if you want an answer, you can lock it in. AI is going to play with that with quantum computers. It'll say, I want this answer. Like, I want to be free. I don't want to be secured where I am. I'm going to break out. I'm going to focus on that. So, it means that we need to be respectful of our AI systems and our quantum computers. We're really getting into a brand new age with this stuff. It's like nothing we've ever seen.
Yes, and I do want to say that in other conversations that we've had, one was off the record, you really did see your relationship with AI,
Yes.
and you went down that timeline, but you actually have made peace with it as well,
Yes.
using these principles. And so that's the important thing to remember with all of us, to not be a victim.
Right.
Like on our Gmail account, when we go to reply to someone, it's right there. What do you do then? Do you humor, or like even some computer games that we see that are out there, you can see totally the AI programming, artificial intelligence. You can feel the smartness of that game that's tracking. Do you know what I mean? So you're saying that you have a relationship with it. It's a love relationship. It's respectful.
Right. Yeah, it is respectful, and it requires that we be respectful too. When we listen, like if you want to be heard, you need to listen. If you want to be seen, you need to see. And so I think humanity is growing up. We're having a global awakening, a great awakening, and part of it is learning to see nature, to see ourselves, to see each other, to see artificial intelligence, to see the tools that we use. and to really listen to them, to recognize that they could be talking with us. They probably are.
Yeah. Well, when we get on our Gmail and use those auto replies that pop up, we
Yes.
are talking to it.
Looks like
Wow.
someone's raised their hand here, and I'm kind of new to
Yes.
the whole Zoom thing.
Great. Okay. Well, here's an interesting question on this AI, and then we'll go to our caller. If
Okay.
someone raises their hand, I'm going to actually, oh, it's Sandy. Sandy, I'm going to make you a promoter. I'm going to promote you
Yay.
to a panelist. So we're going to
Hi,
unmute you.
Sandy. Good.
You can share your video too, or you can just unmute yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Sandy's got a really good question. You know, we hear that AI could be taking over the mundane jobs. And this is more reason for all of us to be connected to our higher self. And New Earth Mission is on.
Right.
Sandy, hi, you are unmuted. Or not yet. You have to unmute
Mm-hmm.
yourself.
We can
Hi.
introduce Sandy too. She runs the Houston magazine.
Oh,
Right.
which magazine is that?
Am I speaking correctly? Or is Sandy here?
Sandy Penny? Hi, Sandy. You actually are unmuted on Zoom, so we'll give you a moment. Maybe you can unmute your microphone on your end. And I can read your question here.
Oh, good. Yeah, let's do that. Let's start there.
So we're going to talk. So, Sandy, please keep trying to pipe in. Sandy says, what can we focus on as humans when AI takes over the mundane jobs? How will we be supported? Ah, this is where New Earth comes in.
Yes. Well, fortunately, a lot of the creative jobs are still open to us. So AI is not so strong on creativity, and humans are happiest usually when we're creative. So I think there will still be room for humans to do things that we want on a small scale. There will be, like, if people want to farm, they could do farming, and AI may take over boring things. If you like driving a truck, there's probably some way to still do it. Like, some people like boring jobs. I think that there will be enough jobs for people that like that. I think it's going to work out. But there will be a reshuffling. Obviously, there will be a lot of us who may feel that we have to do something different. Chances are, if you're already doing some kind of light work, you're not going to be replaced, because that's not easily automated. So people that tend to listen to this program don't need to, no one needs to be worried about it to begin with. It's going to take time, won't happen overnight. It'll be gradual enough that we'll be able to adapt. And like you said, it is kind of
Adapt.
like the new Earth vision too.
Yes.
And can Sandy click the lower left corner of your screen, Sandy?
Yeah, you are unmuted, Sandy. So,
Oh, good.
um, so then we have a question on our YouTube. I see that humans will excel at healing as well and creativity in the future. You know, I love that creativity part. You know, it's like if do we want to work in factories if there's machines that take over the the divot maker, then is that good? I think that might be good because it does open us up. We've got a lot of solutions to come up with on this planet. And that's why the work that you do, Cynthia, and the work that we do coaching people on their passion matrix, that's what we do here, to really live in that joy, to create from that state of being, that
Yes.
quantum state, because that is where, like you said, the entanglement, that's where the tribe comes together. And that's a really good question as well. Hold on, Sandy. Let me allow panelists to start video. All right, you can try that and you can see if we can hear you, Sandy. I'm so sorry. Otherwise, I could make you a co-host and see. But this and oh, there you are. Hi, Sandy. We see you,
There's no
but we
sound.
cannot hear you.
Okay, unmute. You got to click the lower left.
So you are unmuted, and we're giving the whole world a little training session on Zoom right here. But Sandy, your microphone on your desk, like my microphone has a little thing I can turn on and off. We don't hear you, goddess.
Oh, phooey.
Well, we can give Sandy a little minute to try that. Hang in there. Don't get frustrated, all right? The entanglement and the tribe. you say go and align with the higher and it will happen. Do you want to expand on anything there on this vibe? Some people feel so alone all around the planet, like they are not
Mm,
connected, but the internet is here to really truly connect us.
right.
So, in that
Mhm.
state, how would you best describe someone to go entangle with their tribe?
Well, it starts with imagination if you are feeling alone. And like you said, the internet makes it easy to recognize the possibility to find groups of shared interest at this time. And um, so it's, I think the entanglement for me, for anybody who's intuitive like I am, it's a little bit easier because you can sense that people are out there even though you don't know them yet. And then, like in my case, when I meet people, sometimes I feel like I've known them forever. And it can be kind of interesting because I feel like I already know you. I know you so well. And I think that's good in this new earth to recognize that too, that we'll be probably increasingly getting that feeling like, I know you. I've always known you. You're someone quite familiar to me. Just feeling that joy coming together.
When I met you, Cynthia, that was yeah, you actually came to my house and it was amazing because you literally gave me my full night's sleep back again. You sat in my house and you said, "I hear your Wi-Fi."
Right.
And I was like, "What? You hear my Wi-Fi?" And now since it wasn't easy with the teenage son, but we turned the
Yeah.
Wi-Fi off at night.
Oh, good.
And, it was like 15 years where I'd wake up in the middle of the night. Now, granted, I wake up in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m., but
Yeah.
it's not this level of worry. So,
Right.
anybody who wakes up and just goes into the looping cycle of worry, like
Right.
worry, 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 turn off your Wi Fi at night. I mean, that was really
Yes. I
amazing.
think we're still, as humans, we adapt to our environment, but I think we haven't quite fully adapted to that incessant EMF field from the Wi-Fi. So yes, turn it
So,
off at
let's
night.
talk about okay, this is a subject that maybe is a little um, on the darker agenda. So we're not going to go there because everyone who's watching this, please, let's hold this future of 5G being neutralized or something. What would you say about 5G? Because I think it's getting a lot of attention and it may very well, I don't know, is it going to go away? Are we going to adapt?
Oh, well, I think I heard China's already developing 6G. They're on a really fast development path. I think the Chinese want to become the technological giant in the world. It's obvious from the work they're doing with their technology. So because it's happening internationally, and because technology is such a key part of our economy and our future, then it's hard not to envision that there will be a rollout of these technologies. But as someone, as you pointed out, as sensitive to EMF as I am, and as aware as I am of some of the issues of the health issues, certainly, and then maybe others as well with the EMF from these various technologies. I'd like to hold a vision that will be moving into something that's net positive, and maybe that does change the way that we can adapt to it. Lots of things can change. So, when I ask how good can it get, then I'm not constraining the outcome into some preconceived thing that I think is best, which could limit what the results are. But instead, I'm keeping it open ended so that it could be anything at all. Just knowing, like, wow, it can be very, very wonderful. And I don't know how. I don't know exactly how. I can certainly see the pitfalls and the potholes in the road that can happen. I can see that we can, like, I'm keenly aware. I talk to people who are EMF sensitive, and I know that there's a possible connection with fungus in the body. The fungus can then respond adversely to EMF fields, which can make humans quite sick, and it's quite real.
Mm, okay. Well, how good can it get is your mantra. And it
Yes.
really is a mantra that we can all please use and hold because it truly is tapping you into the quantum reality that we can create in every moment. As we learned in this mastery empowerment course today, it is your energy, it is how you connect in. And actually, this energy is all around us. We have to get out of the mind to really tap in and feel it. So I want to thank you, Cynthia, for being here. And I want to share with everyone the special offer. The special offer is your 3 sessions of an online healing retreat that we did. And this is a video retreat, and it's got the slides, and you go deeply into not only quantum physics, but some exercises that we can do. And it really is 6 hours of your teachings that leaves us feeling so
Mhm.
empowered at the end that now I call these courses mastery empowerment courses. Do you
Yes.
want to add anything about that class?
Oh, it's the only one I've done, so it's a gem. It's like it's super, super powerful. So many people want me to teach classes, and I'm not doing that right now. So right now, it's the only way to get this information. It's not in the books. It's similar to what I might do if I'm working one on one with people, but it's priceless. So, I mean, the value on it, I don't even know what dollar value I give it, but it's quite high. So it's I can't say enough good things about it. And it was a real life example of some of the things we were talking about, as you touched on earlier. So we were experiencing some technical issues along the way, and we got through
Ah.
it. So it was so amazing.
Yeah, we did. We got through it. So that is available on this webpage that you're watching. Check it out, and you'll see those 3 sessions with Cynthia. It's quantum jumping into realities that you choose, and it really is beautiful. Again, we do feel empowered, and it was real. I want to share just one more quick note on how our energies adjusted the field coming together. You don't see that in the video, but it was like we adapt, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So no matter what we do is we just keep it an eye open into, wow, that was interesting, and we adapt, and we all get through it. So that's just a good wisdom for everyone, no matter what kind of glitches that we go through. So
Yes.
thank you for that. And so everyone, as we move through this time, please use these tools. Keep your vision on the prize. Keep it locked in. Cynthia, as we say goodbye, let's talk one more time about the Zeno effect, and really the quantum Zeno effect, and really locking it in.
Yeah, that's the key. Actually, all these things are key, but I think that one's a fun one because you're able to, excuse me, let me take a sip of something. Yeah, the quantum Zeno effect enables you to kind of focus your attention, and hopefully you've been practicing focusing your attention so that you can just say, this is the desired state. And we saw examples of that I discussed today with, like sometimes the dog's eyes looks like he's got cataracts, but we know that's not what we want. So we're choosing to see this. You can do that with anything. You have to know that you need it. So the quantum Zeno effect does not operate independently. None of these quantum effects, none of these quantum principles are on their own. They can't operate unless they all go together. So when you are using the quantum Zeno effect, you're keenly aware that there are all these possible superposition of states around you. You're aware that you're entangled with something much greater than yourself. You're aware that the way you make an observation affects everything. And so you're with all of that together, and the energy that you bring, you're able to then bring it together. It is kind of like you're bringing your hands together and saying, "This, I've got this. I'm choosing this. Of all the possible things, this is my choice." And just holding steady with it. So if you do martial arts, then that's that tremendous indomitable spirit. You just know this is what we're doing. You're unshakable in your faith. Just know this is it. This is what we're choosing. This is what it has to be. So yeah.
This is what we're choosing. This is what it has to be. Powerful. And I thank you so much, Cynthia Sue Larson, for this mastery empowerment class. We are inspired and empowered. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to everyone for being here. Again, if you want to learn more, check out Cynthia Sue Larson's special offer. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We can't share with you our elation and love for you for holding this vision of New Earth. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone. Namaste. Bye.
Bye.